Hi everyone, it's Terry here sharing another process video for Pearttree Cutfiles using this Collect Moments cut file available from the shop. So I've cut it out of white cardstock and I have added 3 small photos to the back of each of those frames, and I'm using some Crate Paper Marigold collection papers and a few other pieces from my stash. So I've just creating some torn strips that I'm going to use in the top and bottom of my layout, just layered up. That wood grain is from a Heidi Swap patterned paper, and you can just see how I'm working out roughly what I want to do with my layout. So I've pulled out some carnation acrylic paint from Dina Wakeley, and I'm just going to colour, or paint should I say, the Collect Moments script words with the pink. I am also just being careful where the words overlap the frames to make sure that it's not a straight edge, so that it kind of flows as if it is written over the top. So I'm just doing that in this light pink colour so that it kind of coordinates with the patterned papers that I've pulled out to use. So because it's acrylic paint, and it's quite thick, it only really needs one coat. So I'm just going to leave that to one side to dry. And now I can get on with making my actual layout. So I'm just layering up those torn pieces that I pulled out and did earlier on. So I want that green kind of floral paper to be the main one that you see, but with just pops of the blue and the wood grain popping out from underneath. So that's why I've picked that one to be the largest piece, and also the one that's on the top. This is kind of one of my go-to designs when I'm not really sure what I want to do, but I want to create. And I'd had that cut file cut for a little while sat on my desk, because I knew I wanted to use it, but I wasn't sure what for. And those photos are from a kind of home date night that we had while we've been in lockdown here in the UK, and it just worked perfectly. So I've pulled it out and I'm just deciding where I want to place it and what I want to do. So because the kind of frames don't feel like they're popping off the page because it's kind of white on white, I decided to do a kind of scribbly doodled border around them. I always think it's important to kind of try not to be too neat, because then it always looks like you're being too neat. So I always go with 2 lines and try and do it quick and a bit messy. So I pulled out these pieces that I had in my stash with those patterned papers, and the pieces that I'd already fussy cut out. So I'm just working out what I want to do, whether I want more pieces cut out. But I really like this black and white patterned paper sat on the white cardstock, just tucked behind those frames. So I'm just playing around with the composition of it all a little bit, and you'll actually see that I do shortly actually move the whole thing down the page, because I feel like it's a little bit floaty in the background. So I've just popped it all up on foam pads, and now what I'm doing is I'm actually doing some doodles on the background. So you'll see on the right hand side there's kind of a little bit of a leaf pattern, and I've also got it at the top of this area that I'm drawing in at the moment, but I hadn't got much else of it, and I wanted to add it in different places to kind of pull it all together. So what I've done is I've kind of copied the same design. I'm just using my black pen to draw it in. And because it's a simple kind of twig with just some little like black leaves, it's not difficult, and it's surprising what difference it makes. It makes those sections look much better and more cohesive, I think. So I've pulled out my ephemera and sticker collections for the crate paper, and I'm going to use this big blue bow just there in that gap. Popped up on foam pads. So I've got this vellum floral that I'm going to tuck in under the black and white. And now it's just a case of looking through all my bits of ephemera and pulling out any other little pieces or stickers that I want to use. So I pulled out this little banner that says thankful, so I've just stuck that there. I don't want to go too over the top because I still want you to be able to see those florals that are tucked in underneath. So now I start to think about smaller items, and I pull out some little hearts that I put in and around my page. So I decide I want to bring some pattern and some ephemera up to that top left hand corner, and I want it to kind of coordinate with what's going on the rest of the page. So I'm kind of recreating some of the different clusters that are in and around my photos. So I'm using the same colours, some of the same patterns, some of the same fussy cut florals. And I will, you'll see me shortly draw another one of those like branches with the leaves on as well to tie it all in together. So there we go, just drawing another of those leaf shapes in. So I'm just going to add some journaling in that little spot there. Nothing too profound. Just about having this special pasta delivery as a little treat. So I feel like I don't really like that kind of gap there, so I'm going to add another little floral in under that part. And I'm just going to add some little pink Nouveau drops in and around my layout to add some small embellishment and a different kind of texture, but I'm also pulling in some of that light pink that I've used. So I finish off with some splats of gold paint. And that's my layout finished. Thank you for joining me today on YouTube. Check out the description for all links to Pearttree Cutfiles. There's also links to their social media and places you can find inspiration. Thanks for joining me again.